All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. All right, today I'm going to do a little bit of a video on, as an offensive coordinator, how to make sure that you are taking your practices to games and making sure that you understand how to figure out whether or not the things that you're practicing are actually showing up in your games and your call sheet, and talking about how you should be going about doing those things and kind of self-scouting your own system so that you understand exactly how you're doing. All right, make sure you check out our sponsors, GameStrat, which I'll leave a description in the description box. I'm sorry, I will leave their direct link to their website so you can go check them out. We've used it the last 2 years, our sideline replay system. Absolutely love them. Difference USA, the ultimate striking machine. We have one in our weight room. Work on hand placement, elbows in, thumbs up, how to strike, what your eyes need to do, lower body. Work on all those things in the offseason without needing to partner somebody to hold a bag or somebody to hold a med ball. JustPlayFB, which is digital software taking your program to the next level. It's the only drawing diagram tool I use in anything or any webinars or anything that I need to speak on. If I have to draw something, JustPlayFB is the only tool I'll use. All right, Defensive Coordinator 1, which is an in-game app that allows you to use live in-game data to make critical sideline adjustments and in-game adjustments. So make sure you check out Defensive Coordinator 1. They will be at our Play Fast Football Clinic in January. All right, so make sure you check out Defensive Coordinator 1. And then Dome Hats, which is a major sponsor of Play Fast Football. Dome Hats, every hat has a story. Why don't you let Dome Hats help you tell yours? They want to get into every state, every sport, every staff. Custom online hat builder, great guys, great company. We absolutely love them. Make sure you go to www.domeheadwear.co to check out Dome Hats and build your own custom hat. They will also be at the Play Fast Football Clinic in January. They are one of our major sponsors, so thanks to Dome Hats. All right, so in going through the offseason now, and now's the time where you start breaking up all your film and editing out all your film and breaking your plays up so that you have teach tape. If you do, for me, when I do things on different websites in the offseason, I have some other websites where I'll actually use video clips on top of the videos, like the YouTube videos I will do a scheme, but then I will also put in clips of us running that scheme. All right, so as I'm breaking up things, I'm doing it for a lot of different reasons, and one of the reasons is to find out, as I clip it out, not only to make those teach tapes for my kids in the future of plays, or work on with our staff what we need to get better at, but I'm also breaking it down based on the number of clips so that I understand what I called and how I called it. All right, so as I got through my editing stuff by the end of the season, after our 10 games, and I broke everything down, basically this is, when you average it out, the amount of clips, this is about what we called. Okay, so for us, veer was the number one, our inside veer play was the number one thing that we called, and we called it about 16 times a game. And that makes 100% sense to me for how we were going into the season, because we tie all our RPOs into our veer game. So whether it's our veer kick scheme, our veer insert scheme, maybe our veer wham, trapping a down lineman, whatever our block 6 in the box scheme was with the veer, and throw RPOs and access off of 7 and 8, that's how we went into the season, and that's how I went into the season as an offensive coordinator, thinking that we were going to play the majority of our football, and that's how we were going to score points, and that's how we were going to get first downs and move the football, was going to be in the run-pass option world. So obviously, the veer 16 times a game for us is something that is right on track with where we want it to be, because that's the team we wanted to be going in. Okay, quick game 10 times a game. Again, I think that was right about on track with where we wanted to be, because I didn't think we were going to be a drop-back passing football team, and I felt like we had some players on the perimeter that needed to get the ball. So I've always been a big fan of quick game, and I wanted to use quick game this year, so that's about on par. Perimeter runs 9. This is probably where I feel like I missed the boat a little bit with the kids that I had and some of the talent that I had on the perimeter. I feel like we should have incorporated perimeter runs a little bit more, so only calling 9 perimeter runs a game. And I've kind of included in there any of our veer bash schemes where we are running our veer concept and reading a guy, any of our jet sweep stuff, and any of our buck sweep stuff that got to the perimeter, or any of our pin pull stuff. Power read is labeled under power, so we had some power read stuff that might have got to the perimeter, but I didn't count that as a perimeter run. All right, so drop back pass is about 8 a game. And that's right around where it normally is. And that number is kind of strange, because there were games where I only called 4 drop back passes, and then there were games where I called 25 drop back passes, and that has to do with matchups. That has to do with protection. Can you win? Do you think you can win on at the receiver level? Score of the game. Do you get behind in a game where all of a sudden now you need to score points? So there's a lot of different factors in drop back passing. But going into the season, I thought 8 to 10 would be about right for us, and that's about where we've always been. All right. Power was low for us this year. Only called power 5 times a game. And that's every version of power. That is power toss read. That's regular power. That is power read off a jet sweep or power read off a tailback bash. Action with front side sweep or outside sweep with power inside. That is every version of power. Only ran it 5 times a game. Used to be for me where power was a scheme that we'd run 15 times a game, and that was down a little bit for us this year. And part of it, I think, is me not doing a good job with play calling this year and getting away from some things. But the other part of that was I didn't think we were a very good power football team. I didn't think we were very good at blocking power and running power, so I didn't like it that much, and I kind of shied away from it. All right, the dart scheme, tackle wrap scheme, which I thought would be a bigger scheme for us. I only called it 4 times a game. I thought going in the offseason, I thought it would be more misdirection for us. I thought we would tie it into more of our read game with either our toss dart read or our jet dart read, and it was something that just didn't really develop. I didn't like the front side of our one-on-one matchups. I didn't like us having to win some one-on-one matchups up front, so kind of shied away from the dart scheme a little bit. Only called it 4 times. Action passes, only called 3 a game. Probably should call at least 4 a game, maybe 1 a quarter, or somewhere along those lines to take shots. But I think this has to do with a lot of things. Protection, can you get it off? Most of our action passes are max protect, 7-man protection. Early in the year, we called some action passes, and we didn't get those throws off. And what happens as a play caller is you start to shy away from those things. When you start calling 7-man protections and you're building shot throws in, and the quarterback is not getting the ball off, or you can't protect him, you start kind of shying away from stuff like that. So I think that's why our action passes went down to probably 3 times a game on average, because some early things got me spooked a little bit, and I got away from it. Waggles 3 times a game, something that I should do more of, something that I need to do a better job of. And even worse than that, to me, is only running screens on average 2 times a game. We were as bad of a screen team as I've ever been. I did a terrible job coaching the screen game this year. I should have had more screens in based on the personnel that we had. But in my own defense, not that I want to defend myself, because normally I am the toughest critic on myself as anybody else is, I didn't think we were going to be a drop back passing team. And in my mind, maybe I'm out coaching myself, and maybe this is thinking a little bit too much into it, but if you're not going to drop back and throw the ball, how great of a screen team can you really be? Because if you're not living on dropping back and throwing the ball, is the other team really going to be gung-ho to rush the passer? And then I sit back and I think, well, it's high school football, even though the coaches know that. When those kids get on the field, they all want huddle highlights. They're going to rush the passer even if you don't drop back and throw the ball. So sometimes I think you can out-coach yourself a little bit with some of those things. I'm thinking going into the season, we're not really going to be a heavy drop back team. Do we need to carry a bunch of screens if we don't drop back and throw the ball? With our personnel, definitely should have thrown more perimeter now screens, but even some slow screens and tunnel screens, should have done a better job implementing them, installing them, and teaching them, because I think we had the personnel to be a screen team. And I think sometimes you got to go back and look. I think sometimes you outcoach yourself. I know I've done it a million times, and I've played the damn statistical, probability side of football a little bit too often and said, I'm not a drop back team. I shouldn't carry a ton of screens. Don't put a lot of time and effort into screens because you don't drop back and throw the ball. Well, yeah, that's coach speak. That's logical thinking. But we're playing high school football with 15, 16-year-old kids. When they get out there, they're going to rush the passer. Hell, if you're a wing T team, they're going to rush the passer. That's what young kids do. And it takes a good disciplined football program and a good disciplined football coach to get kids to understand inside of game plans why certain weeks gung-ho rushing the passer wouldn't be a great idea, because they don't sit back there and throw the ball. So I probably outcoached myself on that one. So that screen number is a little bit disappointing to me. Now, with that being said, why do I go through all that and kind of label all that for you? Because how are we going to find out if we stayed on track? Here's how. All right, every coach probably does this. I know you've all done it. It's not revolutionary. I have everyone probably for the last 15 to 20 years of my coaching career. This is a stack of all plans and scripts, all right, from this season. So practice plans and scripts from this season that I can now go back and look at, and I can go back and look at these scripts and say, okay, what was on the offensive script on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? What did I go through that week? All right, the dates on every one of them. I can look at all the dates. I can go back and look at the practice plans and say, okay, what did we practice that week? What did we call that week? What were we practicing all year? Does what we are practicing match up with what we call? All right, and the reason I say that is because it's one of the first things, and I read it in Brian Billick had a book years ago when I first started coaching, and he had a book on game planning, and I don't remember the name of the book. It was something about game planning, but when Brian Billick was head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, and he had a book on offensive game plan. And I remember him talking about that very specific thing. It's like, look, you kind of have a pie chart or a flow chart of what you're doing during the week, and then you need to have assistant coaches or somebody that is responsible for letting you know, hey, coach, you're way off base here with your, in the first quarter, you called this many runs or this many passes, and we worked completely opposite of that during the week, or you ran these schemes and we practiced these schemes. You need somebody to kind of keep you on track to say, hey, coach, we practiced a certain way going in with a certain game plan. Let's make sure that we're sticking with that, because if you're going to game plan and you're going to practice all week, why would you practice things all week and then, kind of get away from those things or abandon them on a Friday night outside of score? All right, maybe you had a plan to develop the run and you had certain run schemes that you like, and you turned the ball over, or they onside kicked you and you were down 14-0 early or whatever, you had to get away from it, or maybe you were trying to throw the ball 40 times that game and you came out and it was 20-mile-an-hour wind and pouring rain. All things considered, if you take nature and score and things going into a game, you have a practice plan, something that you worked on all week. As a play call, your play calls should match the practice plan. Otherwise, you're not efficient, you're not cost effective, you're not making your practices everything that they can be, and you're wasting your time practicing things that you're not running in games. You're always going to have to make adjustments. You're always going to, call some things that maybe you think are good and they're not good. You're always going to call some things that you didn't think were there, and all of a sudden that night they can't stop it. That's always going to happen. It's part of the game. It is what it is. But when you game plan and have meetings as a coach and meet with your staff and practice with your players, and you go through the runs and the passes and the formations and what you're going to do and how you're going to attack each week, you need to go into the game and attack that way to be true to your practice plans. To say that you prepared your team. If you go into a game and you practice things all week and on Friday night you don't run the things that you practice, you really didn't prepare your team. All right, you didn't do a good job getting your team ready for the game. So staying on track with your practice plans and your scripts, understanding that you're practicing the things that you want to run, understanding that you're practicing the things that you need to win, and then matching that up and going back and looking and going, hey, we are hang our hat on this play, but when I go back and look in practice, we only had it called 4 times. All right, or we only ran it 3 times that week. We only ran it twice out of this formation, and we only ran it once out of that formation. You call that play 15 times in a game from 4 different formations. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So when you look at your play calling and what you've called and you break it down, you should do this every week and definitely every couple weeks, if not every week. You need to look at what you're running in games, what you're calling in games, and then go back and keep all your practice plans and scripts and go back and find out, hey, am I really practicing what I'm calling in games? Are my practices as effective as I need them to be? Okay, so I know a lot of you probably keep your practice plan and your scripts. I've had them for 15, 18 years at my house. I've got almost every one going back to one of my first jobs in 2000. It's just something that you do. There's no need to get rid of them. Now it's a lot easier nowadays to just keep them on hard drives and files and Google Docs and everywhere else. And in the old days, you used to print them and keep them. And so I still have practice plans going back to the early 2000s. So it's a good idea to keep those. And it's a good idea after the season to go back and look and check after you break out all your huddle clips or whatever editing system you use. Now it's a good time to go back and kind of self-evaluate, self-scout, and say, hey, let me look at what we called, let me look at what we practiced and see if those things match up. All right? I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you all, as always, you click the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on the bell notification so you know every time we put out a video. Click the thumbs up, thumbs down if you like or don't like the video. Leave a comment. I try to respond to everybody that leaves a comment, all right, whether it's good, bad, positive, negative. I'm always going to respond. I appreciate any interaction with the videos. All right, remember that we have the first ever Play Fast football clinic coming up January 24th, 25th, 26th in 2020. St. Augustine, Florida, Embassy Suites, right on the beach, beautiful location. Just announced another speaker today, somebody that's near and dear to me, Buddy Nobles, good friend of mine, was a coach in Florida for years, is now head coach at Irwin County in Georgia, and Buddy Nobles is a wing T guy, and we joke about it all the time, how different me and him are. We met doing an all-star game about 17 years ago. Couldn't be probably any more opposite of guys. I'm a Yankee from up north. He's a good old Southern boy. I was a spread guy. He wants to run trap at you a million times. He's a wing T guy. But over the years, we've developed a great friendship. Talk football, talk wing T ideas, talk spread ideas. I'm excited to have Buddy Nobles speaking at our first ever Play Fast football clinic. He does a great job at Irwin County in Georgia. So I'm excited to announce that. So we've got a really good lineup of speakers. Really excited about it. We got Baker Sports, Dome Hats, Baker Sports, and Score Fundraising as our three major sponsors. Game Strat's coming in to be a vendor. Defensive coordinator one's going to come in to be a vendor. Looking to add more vendors. So if you're a business or inside a football and you're looking to get out there, maybe you can't break into Glacier or Nike clinics because other people have exclusives. This is the perfect opportunity for you, all right, to come in and be a vendor and talk to football coaches and high school football coaches. This is our clinic, our problems, our solutions. Only high school football coaches are speaking. So it's a perfect scenario if you want to be a vendor breaking in to high school football. Make sure you check out www.playfastfbclinic.com. That's www.playfastfbclinic.com for our first ever Play Fast clinic, January 24th, 25th, 26th, 2020, St. Augustine, Florida, Embassy Suites. As always, I appreciate everything you guys do. Thanks for following the channel. All right, thanks for making Play Fast football what it is. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. See you guys next time.